All right, everyone, welcome to lesson 3 of module 2. Today we are focusing on the same standards as before, but the main part of this lesson is this part right here. Parallel lines are taken to parallel lines, and lines are taken to lines. We're going to focus on those two parts. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to prove that translating, remember that means sliding, a line creates a pair of parallel lines, or it just creates the same line. Okay. You'll know you're successful when you can map parallel lines using translations. And let's go ahead and get started. All right, exercise 1. It says draw a line that passes through point P that is parallel to point L. So obviously it's not going to be perfect for me, but here's my line. Pretend that it's completely straight. It goes through point P and it's parallel to line L, and we're going to call this line L prime. Okay. What do we notice? Well, we notice that these lines are parallel. This little sign right here that I just drew, these two slanted lines, that's mathematical short for parallel lines. Okay, so they're parallel lines. They're at the same slant, maybe. They're not different in many ways, they're just in a different position. Okay, so these lines are parallel. Let's move on. This one says translate, so slide, line L. Here's line L, it's this whole black line right here, along vector AB. What do you notice about line L and its prime, or its image, L prime? So we're going to be moving just a little bit, so I would say this new line is going to be right here where this blue one is. Okay, what do you notice about that new line and our original line? Well, you should notice they're overlapping, or the same line, right? Just overlaps itself. Okay, so today in our lesson, you'll notice two things. So either when we translate a line, it's either going to create a parallel line or same line. It'll just be overlapping. So those are our two options each time, basically. Okay, let's move on. All right, moving into number 3, it says line L is parallel to vector AB. Translate line L along vector AB. What do you notice about L and L prime? So we're going to be moving this line this much. Okay, so I would say it's probably going to be about right here. Here would be my L prime. What do we notice about those two? They're the same line. You can hear my baby saying, sorry about that. Okay, they're the same line. Moving on. All right, number 4 says translate line L along vector AB. So we're sliding it up this much. So the new line is going to be right here. Pretend that it's perfect and straight. This will be called L prime. What do we notice about these two lines? Well, remember, when we translate a line, it's either going to be the same line that just overlaps itself, or it's going to be a parallel line. You can clearly see that these are parallel lines. They are parallel lines. All right. This is a very, very, very simple lesson. Just really making sure you know this rule in math and why, and proving it over and over and over again so it stays in your head. Okay, moving on. Number 5 says line L has been translated along vector AB. You can see that it's slid down. What do you know about lines L and L prime? Go ahead and write down what you know about lines L and L prime. And check it with me. Line L and line L prime are parallel lines. That is what you should have come up with. Okay. Moving on. Number 6 says translate L1 and L2 along vector DE. So we're going to be sliding it up to the right a little bit and label these images of these lines. If lines L1 and L2 are parallel, what do you know about their translated images? So we're going to be taking this point and we're translating it up. It's probably going to be right about here. This one, we're going to translate it up. It's probably going to be right about here. So this is line 2. And this new line is line 2 prime. Again, I know it's not perfect. And we're going to do the same with this one. Here's my point here. I'm sliding it up a little bit. It's going to be probably right there. And this point, I'm sliding it up as well. Probably going to be right here. Obviously, it's not perfect because I don't have a transparency, but this one will be called L1 prime. Oops. So basically, it's having you make this prediction. If the original lines are parallel, are the translated lines also parallel? Yes. The translated lines are also parallel. Okay. Moving on. All right, for this it says translate angle XYZ and point A, point B, and this rectangle along vector EF. Okay? So if you don't see it, here is vector EF. It's this red line right here. Sketch the images and label all points using prime notation. So one thing I want to show you here is this vector is showing that we're going up 1, 2, and then left 1, 2, 3, 4. So all these points, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's this new point. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's this new point. And then from there I can draw the rest of the shape. It is 1, 2, 3, down, 4 across. So here's my new little rectangle over here, and you're going to do this with the other shapes. And then make sure that you label it. This is going to be K prime, H prime, J prime, I prime. Okay? And now I want you to do the following shapes. I want you to do this angle as well. Translate that using this vector. Remember, it's going up 2 over 4. And then translate these 2 points, A and B. Okay, pause this video and then come back and press play to check it. All right, you should have paused it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to translate point A. Remember, our vector is showing that we're going up 2 over 4. So I'm going to be going up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was in the middle of my line. So this is point A prime. Do the same thing for B, up 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where B should be. Highlight those so you can see them. And then my other shape here, I'm going to do it in yellow. We're going to be going up 2 over 4, up 2 over 4, and up 2 over 4. And so now this has created this angle, just translated along that vector. Remember, it has the same degree, 38 degrees. And then you just want to label the points. This would be X prime, Z prime, and Y prime. Okay, check that and make sure you have it down. Number 2 says, what's the measure of the translated image of angle XYZ? We already wrote this down. This is 38 degrees because angles are taken to angles. Right, that's part of our standard. It says connect B to B prime. So here's B and here's B prime. Okay. So once those are connected, it asks us, what do you know about the line that contains the segment formed by B and B prime and the line containing vector EF? So if we look at our vector and that line, what can you tell about those two lines? Take a moment, write down your answer. I'll highlight the two lines so that you can see them. It's this one and this one. What do you notice about those two lines? And you should notice that they are parallel. Okay. Connect A to A prime. So here's A, and here's A prime. Okay, what do you notice about that line that was just formed and our vector? Well, you should notice something about those two lines. From our lesson, you should notice they're the same line. They're just overlapping. All right. And then it says, given that figure HIJK is a rectangle, what do you know about the lines that contain segments HI, so HI, and JK? What do you know about those lines and their prime images? Well, you should know that because they're a rectangle, they're the same distance apart from one another, which means they are parallel as well. All right. Oh, she's crying. Make sure you have all this down, and then move on to our lesson closure on the next slide. All right, our lesson summary is that two lines on a plane are parallel if they do not intersect. Okay, translations map parallel lines to parallel lines. And if you have a point and you're drawing a line through it, if you draw another line through that same point, it's going to be the same line, right? So you're going to be overlapping. Okay, go ahead and move into your exit ticket and your reflection, please. All right, here's what your exit ticket looks like. Please go complete this in Galileo and then make sure you get your lesson reflection done. Check off your daily checklist, work on any missing work, and MobyMax and Prodigy.